Hi everybody, this is Mr. Nolan, and what I would like to do with you in this video is to show you how to use a simulator. Now the simulator we are using in class in order to understand stars. What we have been doing is we have been graphing the luminosity or the brightness of stars and seeing if that has any relationship with color. So there's a graph, a diagram that you have been working on in class, and we're going to take this a step farther, and we're going to be looking at how do stars change or evolve. Do they change color? Do they change brightness? What do color and brightness really mean if we're looking at a star? So in order to do this, we're going to use a simulator online. The name of the simulator is Star in a Box, and I'll show you what the link is in case you need it. But the goal is really to be able to use this simulator, Star in a Box, so that you can interpret what this star diagram says about the lifetimes or the lifespans of stars. And so that's sort of the idea behind the simulator. This is a screenshot of it, and I want to show you how the simulator works. And once I do, the task is on you to, there's a document that I have prepared for you. The task is on you to go through and start figuring out how can I use the simulator to learn about stars. How do stars really work? So let me show you the document, and then I'll show you the simulator. So here's the document. There's a goal and background there, and there's some instructions here which I'll show you right now how to use. And in this document, we're going to analyze stars of several different masses. So we're going to start off by analyzing a star with the mass of our sun, and that would be one solar mass. Okay, so one sun, one of our suns would be one solar mass. And then we're going to be, there's some questions here. We're also going to look at a star that's smaller than our sun, only 0.2 solar masses. And we're also going to look at one with 6 solar masses, so that's a large star. And then we're going to look at a really massive star, one with 20 solar masses. So we're going to use the simulator to look at all these different masses of stars and kind of chart their lifetime. Do they change in color? Do they change in brightness? What are all the relationships between these things? So the factors that we're really looking at are what is the relationship between color, luminosity, the brightness, mass, temperature, and then the lifetime of stars. And we're going to see if they change over time. So here's the simulator that you're going to use. Let me show this to you. So here it is. And this is the link right here where it says starinabox.lco.global, Global. So here is Star in the Box, the simulator. You don't have to click the advanced button, but just click open the lid, and then the simulator will begin. And let's take a look at how we use the simulator and what it shows us. So when you open up the lid, when you open the box, you'll notice that you see this graph. Anywhere that you place your cursor on the graph, you can see there's 2 red lines. Those indicate what's on the x-axis on the bottom and what's on the y-axis on the side there. So it can tell you really precisely what figures are you at. You can see that there's masses that you can choose. If you click this little drop-down menu, there's different masses. It runs anywhere from 0.2, a very small star, to 40, which would be a huge star. And it starts on 1, right? So that's the default setting. And if you look here, here's a graph that's actually very similar to the one that we did in class. You can't see any individual stars, but you can see there's the x-axis, there's a y-axis. The y-axis is logarithmic, just like the luminosity that we did. So y must be the luminosity in this graph. So what you can do when you're using this simulator is you can set the mass of the star that we're going to start with. And that's what our document is asking us to do. It's asking us to look at stars of different masses. And so when we do that, it'll show you where the star starts in its life when it's first created. And then you can press play, this little play button. Now you can adjust the speed here. You can adjust it from fast, fastest, normal, slow, slowest. So let's just set it to normal for now. And you can click play. And when you click play, the default setting down here is size. This shows you what the size of the star is compared to our sun over the course of the lifetime of the star. Does it increase in size? Does it decrease in size? And so you can actually see in the little animation here what the size of the star is. So if you look really closely at this video, you'll notice that this particular star is actually getting larger. You see how this little circle is increasing in size. So we can see how the size of the star changes over time. Something else that you can look at over time, you can just click over here. You can click on surface temperature, so that as you click play, you can see how the temperature changes over time. Does the temperature increase or decrease? What does that have anything to do with the evolution of this star? You can also click this little light bulb, and this tells us how bright the star is. The higher that we are on the scale, the brighter it is, and the lower, the dimmer it is. You'll notice that the luminosity on this scale is the same as the luminosity over here in the graph space. Okay, so that's really nicely correlated, so it's easy to tell. The little, these little dashes will also be the same color as the star. So while you're watching the star, not only can you see how the size and how the temperature are changing, you can also tell how the brightness and the color are changing. You can also click this little clock, which shows the stages in your star's lifetime. This we won't spend too much time on, but you can actually tell how long does the star spend in certain stages while it's doing its thing, while the star is living its life. And then lastly, on this little button over here, you can see this little sort of anvil sort of shape, or sort of weight shape. This is the button for mass. So you can see down here there's a little scale, and it's showing, if you could set a star on a scale, it's showing what is the mass of the star compared to the sun. So if I could click play, you can see that the mass of the star is actually changing as it plays. And then don't forget, if any changes take place really quickly, like this one right there, you notice the star just changed really fast, you can always, for one, you can always change the speed. You can slow it down if you really want to slow the star down so you can see what it's doing. And if all else fails and you really miss something that you want to see, unfortunately you can't backtrack, but you can click reset, and it will set your star back to the original mass that you set it to, and at the beginning of the timeline. Okay, so all that I wanted to show you in this short video is just a really quick introduction to the simulator. It lets you compare star masses. If I have different masses of stars, how do their size change, if at all? How does their surface temperature change, if at all? Their brightness and color, maybe how long do they spend in each stage, and also what does their mass do over the lifespan of this star. So this is the simulator that we're going to be using in order to understand stellar evolution, or stars and how they live their lives. The last couple of things that I want to show you before we say goodbye, it's kind of obscured by my picture here, but there's this little tab that says Data Table. So if you go ahead and if you run the simulator, let's change this to fastest so that it goes really fast. What you'll notice is that after you've run it, we'll just let it go here. Okay, after you've run it, you can go to Data Table and you can click on it, and it will show you these different stages, how big the star is, how bright is the star, and then what's the temperature of the star, and how long does each stage last. And if you go to open the lid, that will take you back to the original place. Another really cool feature is that if you look at this little eye down here, so I'm at the size button on this star. If I click on this little eye, it will give me some information, how your star changes in size and color compared to the current conditions of the sun. So there's a variety of things that you can click on that you can actually get some extra information. There's even one little bit, it's hard, again, it's obscured by my video, but there's a little tab that says Information that's right here. And if you click this, you can actually look up more information about the stages of the star's evolution, the stellar evolution. So I hope that this video was useful for approaching our goal, to be able to find and use the simulator Star in a Box so that you can interpret what the star diagram says about star lifetimes. So I have this video and the simulator and this document available on my website, but I'm also going to give you a hard copy of the documents so that we can work on that in class. Okay? So just something to look forward to, using this simulator to try to figure out how do stars change over their lifespans, and what are the relationship between color, mass, luminosity, and other data that are relevant to stars. So I hope that you're excited to use this simulator, and we'll take the next few days in class to work on this. All right, so I hope that this is helpful to give you a heads up about what we're going to be doing in class over the next few days.